Hey everyone, this is Brook Blue with Bold and Blue Macramé here in Bend, Oregon. Thank you so much for joining me for this macrame plant hanger tutorial. I just wanted to share a little bit about me and my experience with macrame. I took a workshop about 4 years ago in Portland and decided to help out at the studio in my spare time. At that time, the studio Modern Macrame was writing a how-to macrame book. Since then, I was totally hooked, and being able to create functional items while still being creative really is what drove me to continue to create. I also teach in-person workshops, so follow me on Instagram for updates for classes. My Instagram handle is bold, B-O-L-D, .and.blue, B-L-U-E, just like my last name. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you guys for watching. Okay, so you're going to need the following materials. You're going to need a pair of scissors, your macrame cord of choice. This is a mixed cotton rope that I order from Modern Macrame in Portland. You will need a metal ring. You could also use a wooden ring, whatever you want. Old napkin holders work as well. Some sort of tape measure. I find that the fabric tape measures work the best. Our first step is going to be to cut 6 cuts of rope, all measuring 14 feet each. So you can see I have my 6 cuts already done. We're going to weave these through our metal ring. Once we have them through the ring, we are going to make sure that the ends line up, starting rope by rope. So I take one rope, I find the 2 ends, I match them up like that, and then I pull them through so that it's even once it reaches the top. And then I will just put this one aside because I know that it has already been measured out. And you take the second one and do the same thing. Okay, now we have all 6 threaded through, and I just have them nice and neat like this. So one of the most important knots is called a square knot. And if you remember in your childhood when younger, you probably made friendship bracelets that were a very similar knot. You'll remember it by making a 4 with the rope, and that's something that makes it easier to remember by. I'm just gonna show you first a sample off of the plant hanger. That way you can see what it looks like by itself. First, you'll have your 2 outer cords, and then these will be your filler cords that stay inside the center. You're gonna take your 2 outer cords, and we're gonna cross this one, and this is where you're making your 4, like that. And with your other outer cord, you go in front of the 4, like that, and then it comes around the back and you pull through the number 4, and then you slide up like that. So that's your first half of your square knot. And now we started with this side, and we're gonna switch over to this side and now make a number 4 with this side. So there's my 4, and then this guy's gonna go in front and then around the back and pulled through. And after that is done, that is a square knot. So the square knot is comprised of a right half knot and a left half knot. So you make the 4 with the right side and then a 4 with the left side to make a complete square knot. This is the knot we're going to be using throughout the entire macrame plant hanger. Let's get started on the plant hanger now. Now that we have all of our cords on here, we're going to start with a square knot at the top to combine all the cords together. So just like in the sample, we're going to have our 2 outer cords, and these are all going to be filler cords. So we're gonna make 3 square knots on the top of our macrame plant hanger. I like to pull it tight like that and make sure that all the cords are still laying flat along the loop, as you can see. Okay, so at the top you can see now we have 3 full square knots. So this is going to be the start of the plant hanger, and it's just to give it a base. And now we're going to separate them out to start our 3 different strands of the plant hanger. So now that we have this, we're going to separate them out into 3 sections of 4 ropes. So what I like to do is combine the ropes that are closest to each other. So we'll take these 4 and kind of just set them aside. 4 in the middle, like this, and then the 4 outer ones will be our second one. And now we're gonna do another square knot. Each one of these cords, groups of 4, are gonna have square knots, just like we did at the top. So first we're gonna do the middle. And again, we have our 2 outer cords and our 2 inner filler cords. Okay, so once again, we make our 4s. And we're gonna pull it all the way to the top. It's gonna be a little bit funky, you're not gonna see it very well at first, but once it starts going down, you'll be able to see it better. So again, another 4, and pull through, and tighten to make a full square knot. So that's your first one, and we're on each of these sections that we've created of 4 ropes, we're gonna make 6 square knots going down each group. So as you can see so far on the middle strand, we have 3 completed square knots. We have 1, 2, and 3, and we're gonna make 3 more. The best way to tell which square knot you just left off on and what cord to start your next square knot on is wherever you see this right here, your little loop, that is the next cord you're gonna start your next 4 with. So right here you can see I have a loop. Now I'm going to use this one to start my next square knot, and this will be the 4, the side you do your 4 on, like that. Okay, so 6 square knots in the middle. Now we're going to take both of these other 2 strands and also do 6 square knots. Okay, so now that we've done the 6 square knots on the middle, we're gonna do 6 square knots on the right side and 6 square knots on the left side. On the side ones, we want to not use the outer cord that we used for the top square knots. So we want this one to be a filler cord. So make sure that this one is a filler cord, meaning it's one that goes in the middle, and we pick 2 new strands to use as our working cords. We can check using the loop on the side to see how many square knots we've completed. So if we look closely, we can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're good. For the last side, we'll complete 6 square knots as well so that it matches up with the other 2. And again, we're not going to use this very side one that we used for the top knots. So we want to make sure this one goes as a filler cord in the middle. So next we're going to measure 4 inches down on each strand, and then we will create 6 more square knots. I'm going to use my measuring tape and simply line this up right at the bottom of the last knot you created. And we're going to measure 4 inches down, like that. Just make a mental note and we'll double check our work once we start the next knot. I'm gonna work a knot just like I was adding on to what we've already created. But as I'm pulling it up, I'm gonna stop about where I think that 4 inches was. 4 inches about right there. So we'll keep that guy right there and loosely create the second knot to finish out the square knot. So the best way to do this in order to make sure that our rope nice and clean is I'm going to pull this one tight. Make sure these are lined up even. Pull it tight. The middle 2 ropes will pull tight, and then we'll work these up. So the best way to do these is just to really make sure those filler strands are nice and tight as you pull it together. And this creates a good solid base for that new square knot you've created. So now we'll do 5 more square knots on this one, and then we'll move on to the next cord. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that one's good. Now we'll get our other 2 and do the exact same thing. Okay, so now that we have our 3 strands continuing to go down, we're gonna start creating the base for the pot. So now that each strand has its 6-second row of square knots, we're gonna measure 6 inches down on each strand and create 1 square knot. Again, 6 inches down, 1 square knot. There we go. So now the next step is to start creating the basket where the plant will sit in. So what we're gonna do is start combining the different strands together. So right now they're all separate. So we're gonna create a basket. You wanna combine the 2 ropes that are closest together. So these 2, as you can see, 4 cords we're going to be using are gonna be the 4 closest together. So these 2 from this strand and these 2 from this one. And 2 inches below, we're gonna work 1 square knot. So we're basically combining each strand together. 2 inches is about right there. Okay. And we finish the square knot. Again, pulling the filler cords down so they're nice and tight. Okay, and that's all for that one. Now we're gonna go around like a circle and we combine these two. And then we take, once again, the 4 in the middle. So these two and these two. And we create one square knot 2 inches below. So you can see how this webbing is being created around. So now we get one more to finish the full circle netting. So again, we have these, and we have the 2 on this side and the 2 on this side. You see how now we have this basket starting to form right here, which the plant hanger will sit in. Now that we have this, we're gonna do one more row of 1 square knot, again with the netting method, directly below the one we just did, but combining, so there'll be one right here. So we grab the 2 closest and the 2 closest, and we're gonna do 1 square knot all the way at the top. All the way like that. And then we'll finish out that 1 square knot. And we'll go to the next one. And it's okay if your basket doesn't look perfect right now. Once you have your plant in it, it will stretch it out to where it's nice and even. So again, all the way as close to the other knots. 1 complete square knot. And then we'll do one more to finish out the one last piece of netting. There is one more step to the basket where we'll combine all these together and create a tail, but just so everybody can get a visual, we're gonna put this plant in here so you can see how it sits in there. So it'll sit in there just like that. You can see it's nice and sturdy, and you got your little plant hanger. And then now we're just gonna do a bunch of square knots on the tail and cut it short. The last thing we're gonna do is create a tail. And what we'll do is we'll pick 2 of the cords that we have, and you wanna get the longest ones just so you have the most working space. Doesn't matter where they are on the plant hanger, just 2 of the longest strands that you can find. And again, this tail can be as long or as short as you want. But what we're gonna do is these are gonna be our 2 working cords, and all of these will be the filler cords, just like we did at the very top of the macrame plant hanger. So once again, we create our 4, and we use this guy to go behind and through. And we're gonna get these all nice and snug together, just like that, and finish the square knot, just like that. And you can do as many of these as you want. I'm just gonna finish it off with 4 of them. Now we have all this extra down here, and I am just going to snip it off. This allows you a little bit of creative freedom. You can cut these as long, as short as you want. You can make them at different lengths. You can do a V. So what I'm gonna do is I want it about this long, so I'm just gonna trim it roughly where I want it in a little bit of a V shape. I'm gonna go down, and then I'll go up. Like that. And then you can kind of just play with it a little bit. So maybe you want some a little bit shorter. You can leave them whole like this, but what I like to do is I actually unravel these. So I'll take 1 strand at a time. And like that. So you get a little fringe. this cute little fringe at the bottom.